Doing Southern Gospel News podcast has been a blessing and a fun time. I learn something every week when I'm on here, and it's a great thing. Southern Gospel News podcast has been a blessing to thousands, and without our sponsors, we wouldn't be able to continue to do it every week. MyPillow is one of those sponsors. Mike Lindell and the guys sent me a MyPillow about 4 weeks ago, and they said, before you talk about it, I want you to try it out. They said, you got a money-back guarantee, 100% satisfaction, no problems. You don't like the pillow, Darren, send it back to us. They're even going to ask you when you call MyPillow your t-shirt size. No, they're not going to send you a MyPillow t-shirt, but it helps them in determining what type of pillow you need. They asked me when I got one, did you use a feather pillow or a down pillow? So they want to know what the best is for you. Right now, they've got a great deal on their Premier Pillow, and you can only get it by calling MyPillow today, 1-800-338-2330. 1-800-338-2330. When you're talking to them, enter the code or tell them the code SGNP. SGNP. Or you can always go to the website, mypillow.com, order anything on there, but always use that code SGNP. MyPillow took care of me. They're taking care of you. And thank them for supporting Southern Gospel News Podcast.
Welcome to one of the most listened to music news podcasts in the world, SGNP, with your host, Darien Southerland. Join us as we talk with industry leaders, artists, and entertainers about their faith, family, and careers. This is information you will not find anywhere else on radio, web, or in a magazine, but only firsthand on SGNP.
And welcome back to SGNP. It's SGNP Awards Day, so to speak. We've been going for 3 months, so we figured if we've been a podcast for 3 months, we might as well do like everybody else and do an awards show. What do y'all think about that, Charlie?
Yeah, let's do it.
Arthur?
Why not? Why not?
So anyway, let's do it. Let's just start with the new groups, guys, and let's characterize what a new group is, because I guess we just got to pick a new group as someone we've heard this year personally for the first time. Because there's really not such a thing as somebody started 12 months ago and today they're a new group too much. I mean, there is to some aspects. Charlie, how would you define it, a new group?
Well, I would, as you said, somebody that's truly new on the scene, and this may get me in some hot water, but
that's okay.
But I know you like that. I'm always amused when somebody who's gained a certain amount of notoriety in the industry leaves a particular group and then, starts a new group. Well, yeah, they're a new group, but they've also got this huge following because of this maybe one or two people. So, but personally, for me, when I think of a new group, is somebody that's new on the horizon, that's truly a new group.
Arthur, how would you define a new group?
Yeah, that's pretty much. I mean, I think any group within first 2 or 3 years, I think, is probably categorized as a new group.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. 2 or 3 years, because so that would have meant Mark Trammell could have never won a new group, because when he left Greater Vision, he had already been out with the Cathedrals and the Kingsmen and Gold City and all that. When he left Gold City, not Greater Vision, but when he left Gold City and started Mark Trammell Quartet, he wouldn't have been eligible from y'all's definition, but I'll just leave that at that and keep it controversial. How's that sound?
Well, it would be, because it is a new group. I mean, even though he's not new.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of it. You have so many groups that are made up by individuals that have been in the business for a long time. But they may start something new, but it's still categorized as new, All
right, Charlie, I'm going to start with you, my friend. New group. Who you got?
Well, you and I have personally talked about several groups, and one that you have mentioned several times, High Road. I got to see them not too terribly long ago, and was very impressed with them. And I think they're going to make a mark on the industry, but it's just a matter of time for the fans to get to know them.
High Road. Arthur, what you got, my friend?
Well, I tell you, I am really just blown away by these new kids, the three Heath brothers.
Yeah.
I think they're really gonna do well. I think the Lord's gonna bless them, and I think they're gonna do really well.
You know what? I heard them. They do a great job. I'm gonna break the tie though, guys. I think High Road's got it, and here's why I think High Road's got it.
Tell about the place, family ties and memories that time cannot erase. I know the road that takes me there, where the gate is standing open. See, home's not just somewhere I'm from, it's somewhere I'm going.
Number one, they sound good. That's what it takes from a new group, is to sound good, okay? Mm-hmm. Number two, in the industry that we're in, let's just face it, I'm going to say something that ain't going to be too popular with folks. It's tough to market some folks because of brand, so to speak. When you've got four beautiful ladies standing there, it isn't tough to market four beautiful ladies. Would y'all agree?
Oh, yeah, I'd agree with that.
Is that easy enough to stay? And so I think they're going to be embraced, and they're young, so that also helps. There's but Heath brothers are young too, but great groups. But hey, good picks. Let's move right along. Let's just take it one step at a time. Altos for the ladies. Arthur, I'm gonna pick on you first this time, and I'll go first next time. Who's your favorite alto this year? The SGNP award goes to.
I tell you what, I still love Libby's singing. She just, I don't know. It's just, I think she's got a good shot at it this year. I really do.
Charlie,
got to go with my little sis,
Libby.
You
know what? I'm gonna go with Libby too. And you know what? Let me say this about Libby, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong. She has been through, I'm just going to say this. She has been through hell and back, with the loss of her husband, Tracy, okay? She worked tirelessly for years when he was not in good shape, making sure he could live a comfortable life on that bus traveling with him each and every day, even though his handicap status at that time. But she's a true pro. And what I've watched her go through this year, it's almost like the fans have been re-energized by her. I mean, that's Charlie. What do you think?
Oh yeah, and to just sit back and watch the fans love on her, it just reinforces what a fan base she has.
So, anyway, let's hear a little clip from Libby right here, and that's when we think she's the alto singer. Well, she is the SGNP Alto Singer of the Year.
Said he is precious by leaning on his bosom. So for a moment, may I humbly testify. Did I mention?
All right, our next award goes to the SGNP Soprano Singer of the Year. Now, there's a lot of great sopranos out there, and there's a lot of great female singers out there. But the soprano, if you don't know what it is, it's that high part. So, and it's my turn to go first. And quite frankly, guys, I got to go with Brooklyn Blair with Collinsworth Family. I mean, they set it apart. And when we interviewed Phil and Kim not too long ago, I always wonder when you've got these families, Arthur, how long they're going to be able to stay together on the road. And when you hear Kim and Phil's testimony and how they're building their family and their family's traveling, I'm just amazed at the growth of the Collinsworth family. And in a time where a lot of groups are on the downswing, the Collinsworth family just continue to go on that upswing. So I'm going to go with Brooklyn Blair. Charlie, who you got this time?
I don't know. I love the Collinsworth and always admire them, but don't know them personally, so I've not had that personal connection. But man, and I know she's wanted 100 years, but I still got to go with Karen Peck.
Karen Peck.
She is just.
She sings my favorite song.
She's just the queen of sopranos in my book.
Arthur, are you going to break the tie? Or are you going to go somewhere else?
No, I got to go Karen. She's just a singer. Just phenomenal.
And you know what I love about Karen? I'm going to throw this out there to Karen, too. She's a Hall of Fame member, Gospel Music Association Hall of Fame member this year. Mm-hmm. You know, she also represents gospel music in a great way with other formats of Christian music. Would y'all not agree?
Oh,
I mean, she's very accepted in the contemporary community. She's been in movies. She's been all over the place. So you got that's a good pick. Good pick. So winner SGNP Soprano Singer of the Year, Karen Peck. Man, that wasn't Libby and Karen goes home with our first awards in High Roads. We've picked all women so far, folks. Let's hear one from Karen. This is my favorite song. Everybody's going through something.
Everybody's going through something. Everybody faces a storm.
Baritone. Let's do the baritone. That's an easy one, Charlie. We'll make it fast. Go. Here we go. SGNP coming in back. We've had Karen win. We've had Libby win. We've had High Road win. Now we got to go to the men. Charlie, let's start off with the baritone, the one the glue that holds it all together. Who do we got to go with?
Man, I hate to just keep riding the Perrys here, but man, I got to go with Troy Peach. He's.
Do we see a pattern working here, Arthur? So you going with Troy, Charlie? Why are you going with Troy?
I'm going with Troy because I grew up loving that country gospel sound of like the Hensons, and every album that the Perrys put out, Troy's feature always just takes me back to, the 70s. There's just something about the steel guitar and Troy Peach's voice that just tears me out of the frame.
I like Troy. I think he's going to win it in time. He's going to win the SGNP award in time. But when we look back on the SGNP 5 years from now awards and we want to see the first baritone winner, I've got to go with the man they just put in the SGMA Hall of Fame, Mark Trammell. That's just me. Arthur, where are you going with it, my friend?
Well, you gotta go with Mark. He is the master.
And he is.
He really is. I mean, he can blend with the chainsaw, and he really is. When you say glue that holds it all together, he epitomizes that description.
And here's the great thing about Mark. He isn't just a great baritone singer this year. He's been a great baritone singer for 30 years. And he's held his own. Yeah. Not taking anything away from Troy, Charlie.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I mean, you think about it, there's a lot of great baritone singers. Let me ask you this, Arthur. You're a singer, okay? And you've sung the baritone part before.
Mm-hmm.
Is there such a thing as a true baritone that's not really a lead singer that's singing baritone so they can harmonize? Is there such a thing as he's not a lead singer, he's a true baritone? And who in life would you say was a true baritone?
Well, probably the greatest is Glenn Allred.
Yeah.
Glenn was one of those. You couldn't. His voice was not. It didn't stand out. Now he could sing. I mean, now he could sing a solo. Great. Probably one of the best singers to ever come through our industry was Glenn Allred.
Yeah.
Overall, singers. but he wasn't known for being a standout singer. He wasn't known for huge features. He had features, but he wasn't really known for that. But boy, I'm telling you, that man could sing some parts, man. Whew. Great singer.
And to be able to sing baritone, you've got to be able to sing a little bass every once in a while, a little tenor every once in a while, and lead every once in a while.
You got to have a range. You got to have a range because you're going you're going everywhere.
Charlie, you're the historian. Does anybody come to mind?
Yeah, and I'm not even really sure because this is so far back and just not in my circle of knowledge. But the Harmoniers, was Bob Cruz, was he the lead or the baritone?
He sang baritone a lot.
Yeah, Bob Cruz was. I was just going by his voice, just the texture of his voice. And going back, I guess, to the 40s with them.
Yeah.
But I always loved Bob Cruz's voice. So
Bob Cruz. I'm gonna pull somebody out of a hat that sang with a couple of different groups. Sang with Palmetto State for a while. Sang with the Kingsmen for a while. And most recently sang with the Dove Brothers for a while. It's a friend of yours, Charlie, that I've often thought was a great baritone singer and could mix it in good. And it's a name I don't think we've mentioned on SGNP before, but Tony Peace. Tony does a good job at baritone. I mean, I know that's a pull out of right field, but I mean, just straight baritone, the man's got it.
Oh yeah, he's smooth.
Mm-hmm. The man could do it. Let's move over and talk about tenors for the SGNP Tenor of the Year, and we're gonna play a clip off this winner here. But go ahead, Arthur. Who you got for your tenor?
That's a tough one right there. There's some great tenors out there. I'll tell you, one of my favorite tenors though still is Brian Free. I'll tell you, Brian is just a tremendous singer. He still got it. I mean, he hadn't lost a thing.
You know what? How he's been able to do it over time is what amazes me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's in his 50s now, and he's hustling that. I think he's in his 50s. He ain't. He's in his late 40s.
He is.
I think he's in his 50s, but he's been able to hustle it for a long time. Charlie, who you got?
I'm going to Chris Allman this time.
Chris Allman with Greater Vision.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a good one.
Guys, I'm not going to pick either one of these. And y'all know who I'm going to pick. Charlie, you got any idea who I'm going to pick? I'm going with the man who I think is the best singer of any genre of music out there. And David Phelps with Gaither Vocal Band. I mean, there's not a better singers. And here's what I mean about that. When you talk to people about singers, David Phelps always comes to mind. And Arthur, have you ever noticed this? You've been singing for a long time. Have you ever noticed that one performer, like you guys will be on the road traveling back in the days with the Kingsmen, but one person gets on stage and starts to sing, and all the quartet people that are there to sing also just stops and watches. Can you ever think of a person like that just would hold the crowd still? I've always thought David Phelps was that kind of person. Who's some of the folks that you've seen been able to do that, Arthur, over time?
Kenny Henson.
Yeah.
Kenny Henson. Stop in your tracks.
Why is that, do you think?
I don't know. There's just, when they do stuff you wish you could do. That's part of it. And you go, how in the cat hair are they doing that?
Charlie, who's some of the folks that you've seen that you just stopped and just sing?
Well, I've got to just say this.
Yeah.
I can remember most of my good stories always start with back when I was with Liberty.
Yeah.
But even a little before that, I always loved whenever the Kingsmen and Liberty were on the same program together, and whether I was playing for them or not, but I would go see them. And when Hamill would call a song called "Place Where the Hungry Are Fed,"
yeah.
and I knew what Mr. Arthur Rice was fixing to do, and I knew he was fixing to tear the house down, I would look around, and all the members of all the other groups were standing there watching, to watch him hold that long note out on that song, and it just captivated a crowd and captivated the other artists as well. So I got to go with Arthur Rice right there.
Arthur, man, he's giving you a great compliment today.
I appreciate that.
Did you ever miss that note, Arthur, and Hamill just fuss at you when you got on the bus?
No, I mean, you know, there's people ask all the time, how long do you hold the note? And I said, well, until I run out of air. It's really, that really is it. I mean, there's no secret to it. You just grab a big lung of air and hold it till you can't hold it any longer. So some nights are better than,
Some nights are better than others. Well, we got to give the tenor award away. And since we all differed on the tenor award, I'm going to look over to our cameraman, Jonathan, and put him on the spot. And he's not a gospel music aficionado, but he knows enough to be dangerous. So, Jonathan, who you giving the SGNP award away to? Your hometown guy, Brian Free, out of Douglasville, where you're from, David Phelps with the Gaither Vocal Band, or Chris Allman with Greater Vision? Jonathan, who you got?
I got to go with Brian Free.
I knew he was going to go with Brian Free. So there you go. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to listen to Arthur Rice hold that note out on a place where the hungry are fed with a Kingsman. Let's go to Bass Singer of the Year. And this is one of those categories where I don't think, because of life and longevity, back in the day, and here's what I think used to make bass singers greater than what they are today. Back in the day when we all went to school, everybody had to sing in the elementary school choir. Do y'all remember that? Arthur, you remember having to sing in the elementary school choir? Whether you was in kindergarten, second grade, sixth grade. Charlie, you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Kids aren't required to sing anymore because sometimes it might offend, And it's like our buddy Mike Powell with Third Day said in his interview with us a while back, that we need more choirs in churches. A lot of churches have moved away from the choirs, but that's where he learned how to sing. I think the rough and tumble guys, the manly man, so to speak, always wanted to be the bass singer, the real low guy. And it's not that we don't have manly man guys singing bass, but we don't have J.D. Sumners anymore. We don't have Big Jim Waits. We don't have the Chief. We don't have George Yance. We don't have Rex Nealon. We don't have these larger-than-life figures singing bass. Is that a fair assumption like it once was? I mean, there's some good ones, don't get me wrong, but we don't have the quote-unquote characters singing bass that we once did.
I just started to say it wasn't always the singing that made them bigger than life. It was the character.
Yeah.
And we don't have the characters that we used to have. In any position really.
Right.
But especially the bass singers.
But if you think about it, I mean, George Yance not only could sing bass, but he could sing lead if he wanted to.
Oh, yeah.
In that bass voice. J.D. Sumner could drop a note so far down that nobody could mimic it, but then in the next voice come back and give a recitation, or tell a story about Elvis that had the audience captivated.
Yeah.
So, Charlie, what do you think? Do you think we're missing out on bass singers nowadays?
Well, I have to concur. We've got some great bass singers, and I think we've got some that in time will attain legendary status. But I think Arthur's right. Just that character. Nobody's really marketing anyone as the Big Chief. Yeah. I mean, his name was James.
Right.
Nobody called him James. Everybody called him the Big Chief. So no, I don't know of anybody that quite up to that level of exposure and notoriety.
Why is that,
Yeah.
Arthur? Why isn't groups marketing their bass like they once did?
I don't know. It's kind of just a different era. At that time, there was as much interest in the secular world as there was in the Christian world for our music, and I think that's part of it. Part of it is we got out of that to try to separate ourselves, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But we kind of lost the characters that we used to have.
And not to mention Brooklyn Tab come in putting out sheet music that didn't have bass lines in it too. That hurt.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So, bass singer of the year, I'm going to go first. Arthur, I'm going to go with your hometown guy there, your buddy Jeff Chapman with the Kingdom Heirs. I don't think there's anybody better right now in the business that's just singing
Jeff
bass.
got all that. He really does have I sing with him every day.
Yeah.
And he has all that characters. He can sing bass, he can sing lead, he can sing harmony, he can sing parts. He can come up and sing that fourth part.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's just he really is just phenomenal singer. Really is.
Charlie, who you got?
I'm going way outside here.
You got to be different. Me and
Well,
Arthur,
yeah.
we couldn't have a unanimous today, but go ahead, Charlie.
This is a guy that I know almost nothing about.
Yeah.
I remember he was with Brian Free and Assurance at one point, but now he's with the Lefevre Quartet.
Yeah.
And that's Keith Plott.
Keith Plott. I ain't heard that name in a while.
I know, but he to me, he's just a really good all-around bass singer.
Is that the train, Arthur?
That's the quitting bell.
There we go. But Keith Plott with the Lefevre.
Yeah. I mean, I heard their new album just recently, and he's not one of the absolute lowest, although I'm sure he can work the subs and rattle a building, and he's got a pleasant solo voice. But just overall, he fills that harmony part really, really well.
All right, Arthur, I'm going to put you on the spot. You don't have to name any names whatsoever, okay?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Back in the day when you're traveling all the time and you're seeing these groups, did you know whose microphone was loaded and whose wasn't when they were singing bass? Did Hamill ever pull y'all to the side and say, that thing's fake over there? They got that microphone just loaded. So.
Well, the bass singers, they love their special microphone. They always love that,
Yeah.
But really, when you got to that level of singers, it really wasn't loaded. I mean, they had the stuff, and they just needed something to capture it.
Yeah.
So it was pretty true.
Pretty true. Let's move over to lead singers, and there's some great lead singers out there, but I mean, Charlie, I'm gonna throw soloist into this category too, because I believe a soloist is nothing more than a lead singer. Arthur, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, by definition, yes.
Yeah, and just in the interest of time, but I'm torn here, and there's two of them. I'm torn. I got to vote for my buddy Arthur, who's been so faithful to be on the show with us every week. But then let's just call it a lead singer and into a soloist. Is that fair with y'all? Okay. Can we do that? Is that okay with you, Arthur? So I'm going to go with lead, my buddy Arthur Rice. Charlie, who you got to go with?
I'd have to go with Arthur, too.
You got to go with Arthur, too. Arthur, you going to vote for yourself or you going to pick somebody else?
Well, let's see.
Or do you just want to abstain?
There's some. Man, I'll tell you, there's some great singers out there. Great lead singers out there. It was funny. It was one year somebody was asking Kirk Talley to. It was Steve was looking for that back before I came. It was right after Clayton left here. So he asked Kirk Talley, he said, Kirk, ask around and see if you can find any lead singers that's looking for a position. So he asked Glenn Payne, he said, Glenn, do you know any good lead singers? Glenn said, Ivan Parker, he's a good lead singer. He turned around and walked off.
There you go. There you go. You know, there's a ton of great lead singers out there. And I'm going to say this. There's a ton that doesn't get the notoriety they stood. Jeff Steele, to me, our old co-host, was one of the better lead singers that ever came along. And could tell a story as good as anyone.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just a story within a song. Great lead singer. Charlie, who's some of the great lead singers? I mean, we mentioned Glenn Payne, Ivan Parker. You know, Arthur's going to win our SGNP award this year. But who's some of the ones you're thinking about over there, Charlie?
Oh man, lead singers. Man, I'm just at a loss for any of the. I mean, because you've named all the obvious ones, and the other ones that are coming to mind would now be in that solo category. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you somebody who was a good lead singer when he sang with a group. Now he's a soloist. Jonathan Wilburn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, he was the first one that came to mind.
Yeah.
But I was like, but now I got to hold him back for soloist.
Yeah.
Because...
Yeah. So, anyway, some great folks. Let's move over to soloist. And
well, that was a good segue because that's who I'm going with.
So, I mean, when I think of soloist, man, that's a tough category this day and time. And Arthur, let's start with you, my friend. Who is your favorite soloist out there? Who does Arthur listen to on his Pandora or his Spotify, or if he wants to hear a song sung? Who's Arthur listening to this day and time?
I tell you who I've been listening to a lot, who I think is on fire right now. It's just not only singing wise, but songwriting. Is Joseph Haberdank.
I knew you were going there.
And he's just really just on fire. Just the anointing is all over him. It's over his writing. Lord's just using him in a mighty way, and it's just a great singer. I mean, just a great singer.
Great singer. I'm going to go with my buddy Jason Crabb. Jason, just every time people count him out, there he goes, shows back up again. I like Haberdank. I like Wilburn. But the SGNP award, I'm going to let Arthur take it this year, and we're going to go with Haberdank. How's that sound, Arthur? Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Will you give him, will you give him the trophy that we ain't going to buy?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, we've got three more categories to go, and we'll go. Well, four more real quick. Trio of the year, Charlie. Real quick, trio.
Oh goodness, trio.
Let me just go ahead and tell you mine. Booth Brothers.
Booth Brothers.
Booth Brothers, consistent. You know, just Michael and Ronnie with Paul Lancaster. Boom, Paul's found him a home. Just boom, solid as a rock. Arthur, who you got? Trio.
I tell you what, I'm liking Jim Brady Trio. Well, they can sing, and they've got the writing to go with it, and I think they got the package. I'm telling you, that Lake Jones, boy, he can sing.
Charlie,
too.
Well, we didn't even discuss this little trio in the young artists, and I guess they would probably go that, but I'm gonna pull them into the big time here, and I'm going with 11th Hour on trio.
11th Hour.
Yeah, you weren't expecting that, were you?
No, I wasn't expecting that. But anyway, what's your time to break the tie, Charlie, since we've already broke the tie? So 11th Hour going to be our SGNP Trio of the Year?
No, I'm thinking it'd probably be Brady.
Arthur, he went with you. He's a homer, ain't he?
Yeah.
He is a homer. Let's hear a little bit from the Jim Brady Trio right here on SGNP.
Heaven, loved ones are waiting, I know, and I miss them so. Oh, I'm homesick for heaven, and I just can't wait to go home.
All right, guys, coming back. We got three groups. We got to get out of here. We're pressing for time. A little bit of mixed group of the year. Arthur, who you got, my friend?
Well, Karen Peck.
Karen Peck and New River. Charlie?
I go Karen Peck and New River.
I'm thinking the Hoppers.
You're taking what a curveball. Can I tell you why we're not giving Karen Peck and New River the mixed group of the year? And I would pick Karen Peck. Can I tell you why, Arthur?
Yeah.
Because if we were at a real awards ceremony and we were pressed for time like we are right now to give these 3 awards, if we called Karen up to the stage to get her award, we could not get her to accept it in less than 60 seconds. I love Karen. We're going to give Karen the award. Karen Peckany River Mixed Group of the Year. Karen, that means Karen's won 2 SGNP awards already. So anyway, Traditional Quartet of the Year. Who you got, Charlie?
I don't know why I'm throwing so many curveballs today. I'm going with the Dixie Echoes.
Lord have mercy. Dale paid him to say that. What do you think, Arthur?
That's traditional right there.
That is.
See, they can still sing, buddy.
Yes, they can.
You tell me, they can sing flat-footed and sing with any of them.
Yeah. What you got, Arthur?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of hard to choose somebody else when I feel like I'm singing in the best group in the country.
Then say it, brother. If you're proud of it, you're proud of it.
I'll have to say the Kingdom Heirs.
You got to say the Kingdom Heirs, and I'm going with the Kingdom Heirs, and we got a special coming up with the Kingdom Heirs this weekend on SGNP that I think you folks are going to love. We're going to sit down with Arthur and all the guys and up at Dollywood and have a good time, and that's going to be fun, isn't it, Arthur?
Oh, absolutely.
Favorite artist of the year. If there's one group, this is just a personal preference, and I know all 3 of us are probably going to have different ones, but our last award for SGNP, we're going to do 2 last awards. We're going to do our favorite group, and then we're going to do our favorite interview that we've listened to or been a part of this year, but so far in our first 30 shows. But when we're alone and we just want to hear some gospel music, who are you listening to, Arthur?
Ball Brothers.
Ball Brothers. Boy, that's a curveball.
Yeah.
Ball Brothers. Charlie?
I'm bad.
Gotta go with the Perrys, man. I've got everything all the way back. I just recently got their very first album, and that completed my entire collection. I've got everything they've ever recorded, and I've got just about every bit of it on my digital player. And
Nice.
And that's just who I listen to.
I'm going to throw y'all a curve when I say this, and y'all are probably going to be shocked, but there's 2 for me. Traditional, the primitive. Nobody believes that about me because they think Darren likes this Crab family. I love the Crab family, don't get me wrong. But if I'm just by myself, there's nobody better than the primitive. Nobody, as far as I'm concerned. If I'm in a funky mood, so to speak, I just want to be pumped up and hear something, there's a group that sings not only gospel but sings country that I love, is I love to hear the Oak Ridge Boys do gospel music. I love it. So, but I got to go with traditional, the primitive. So who we going to give the traditional award to? The Ball Brothers, the primitive, or the Perrys? Who do we go with, Arthur? You pick it. You're the SGMA president. I'm going to put this all on the president to pick the first SGNP favorite artist of the year.
Boy, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
3 different styles. You know what?
Well, it really is.
Let's just
Yeah,
leave it
really
at
is.
that. That's 3 different styles and how gospel music reaches out. Real quick, we've had over 25 interviews on SGNP during these first 90 days. We've interviewed everybody from Jason Crabb, Peg McCamey, Michael Booth, Arthur Rice, Jeff Steele, Mac Powell, Libby Perry Stuffle, Morgan Easter, Jeff Wisnett, Larnell Harris, the list goes on, Eli Fortner, the list goes on and on and on. Charlie, what's been your favorite interview so far?
That one's easy. Kim and Phil Collingsworth.
Kim and Phil Connor. Why is that?
Well, first of all, that was probably the first one that I was officially a part of here.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier in the show, I've never really been around them a lot. I don't know them personally like I do most all the other groups in the industry. And I felt like I got more insight into the true character of Phil and Kim just sitting here. And you'll remember this. You and I both were sitting here crying,
Yeah.
listening to them share their heart.
Yeah.
And I think we captured more heart on that show than anything else we've done.
Arthur?
Well, you know what? I kind of lean toward the Mama Hayes kids. You know, on that one, I love those. Love talking to the kids and love getting their thoughts on stuff. That one, I tell you what, I enjoyed that Peg McCamey interview also.
Yeah.
That was pretty sweet.
You know, people ask me all the time, do you learn something when you're doing this? I'm surprised every single day at the new things we learn and the new things that come out. Mm-hmm. You know, I was amazed when Lionel Harris talked about singing not only black gospel and contemporary, but singing Southern gospel and how he's been able to cross the lines. Charlie, one of the best things I ever heard in my life is when we're interviewing a contemporary superstar in Mac Powell, and he says, what's wrong with the church today is we're not having enough choir music. And this is a guy that writes more praise and worship music and made more money writing praise and worship music than most of us will ever make in a year. And he's saying, we've got to get back to the choir, and that's where he learned his gospel music. And I learned that. I listened to Peg tell personal stories about her son, that if you just listen to it, you get the picture of what's going on, which was amazing. I loved when Morgan Easter Smith said artists need to be more transparent for the younger people to embrace them. I love that, Arthur. I love when Libby talks openly about Tracy. I like when Jason just said, this is what I like and what I don't like. You know, Michael Booth was great. So for me, sitting behind the mic, interviewing all these folks, Jeff Wisnick, just fun. I think the memory that stands out in the first 3 months, more than anything else, though, it has to be hearing Peg. And here's what I mean by that. We all look at Peg McCamey. And Charlie painted this picture well for us, Arthur. Peg, she just was real. She just was real. So I'm going to take personal privilege, and we're going to give the interview SGNP award to Peg McCamey. How's that sound, Charlie? Is that okay with you?
I'm all for it, man.
All right.
She's a sweetheart.
It's been fun today. Let's hear one by Peg to close it out. Here's my favorite Peg song, God on the Mountain. I think it's most people's favorite Peg song. We'll leave out. Come back and see us this Friday. We're going to have a great show with the Kingdom Heirs, the whole group, from Dollywood Live. We'll talk to you soon on SGNP.